everyone, I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
And today Eric made me watch his favorite film of all time. Yeah? Favorite film of all time?
Yeah. Of all time.
It's
Lethal.
Lethal. Why are you hiding it? They clicked on a video that said,
I'm hiding
other
2,
one.
4, and 3.
Yes. So we'd like you to just look at this window, just this small window on the side, the one quarter of the DVD case. He did not make me watch that entire disc.
No, we might watch 2 at some point.
I would like to watch 2 because I like Joe Pesci.
Yep.
And I saw some of that when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I know I have seen... So this is going to be the first movie that I have technically...
We're fudging the rules a little bit.
...seen, but it's been so long it doesn't matter. I do not remember... I do now. I just saw it. I did not remember anything about this movie.
Mm-hmm.
There was maybe like a shot or two that while I was watching it, I was like vaguely... I had a recollection, but I didn't... But nothing major. Pretty much just those two guys doing stuff.
Yeah, which could have come from seeing the other ones on TV.
Maybe I think maybe something in Murtaugh's house. Like I think I remembered the family a little bit. That was kind of the
and they're big, and those actors stayed through all 4 films.
All of them.
They never recast the family.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And so they age in real time.
Yep.
That's wonderful.
Yep.
Well, and this is so much a product of its time and set right then. Such a time capsule that I would hope that they moved forward in time.
Yeah. Well, and like there's stuff where like on the fridge in this movie they have like an end apartheid thing.
Yes.
Apartheid is the plot of the second film, kind of.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. But yeah, no, this is my favorite movie of all time.
And we, somewhat recently, a couple months ago, reviewed the pilot for the new TV show, which we have not had a chance to continue. We've been busy and we forgot about it.
Yeah, we wanted to watch together, and then we just didn't have time, and so... I don't know when it hits.
So we'll try to get back to it. I'm hearing from people that it has stayed good and that the things we liked about it permeate through it. But now that so it's kind of surreal. I watched that first, and now I've watched this, and they are by and large the same thing. I think
they're very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it does feel like that material again, which is really cool. Just going backwards and looking at it at that show now, having seen this. But this has obviously action movie classic status, and absolutely deserves it.
Yeah.
Boy, do I feel remiss having not sat down and watched this.
Oh, really?
As an adult. Oh yeah, I loved this.
Really?
I just loved it.
I was worried that you wouldn't like it. I mean, you were enjoying it while we were watching it.
Oh yeah, this movie's wonderful.
Yeah.
I think it third act drags a little bit for me.
When they go to the desert.
Yeah. Well, when they go to the desert and then the torture stuff.
Yeah.
I was not as with that stuff.
Yeah, I could see either of those being cut, either part of that being cut down a little bit.
And the climax is fun, but almost too silly.
A little absurd.
Almost, but like the movie itself is already kind of absurd.
Yeah.
But anyway, I know we're doing things backwards. I'm already telling you what I think of it. I just think it's important to just open right away. Oh yeah, look, I totally understand why this is your favorite movie. I can totally see that, and it hits your sensibilities more than it does mine.
Oh, absolutely.
But boy, it also hit a bunch of nostalgic beats for me.
Just it being 87.
Yeah, I love this period. I love this period of action movies. I like Die Hard.
Yeah, Die Hard's
it's sillier Die Hard. I mean, it's not Die Hard, but
it comes out the same year. They both say at Christmas.
I miss this era. I miss the way we used to make action movies.
We used to make movies, man.
Yeah.
There's a point in this movie where
it's a story and it's an experience. It's not one or the other.
Yeah. You go on a journey with characters. It's an adventure. There's a point where a bus hits a car and the car flips over, and then that car gets blown up with grenades. And they clearly hit a car with a bus and then blew a car up.
Oh yeah.
And it's great.
The stuff in the desert with the helicopter that like lands on the car, comes back off the car, is flying right now. I mean, like they did all that.
Yeah,
it's practical, and that's a thing that Donner doesn't get enough credit for. And we should mention this is directed by Richard Donner. And edited by Stuart Baird, who also edited the Superman movies, or at least the first one, maybe the second. I'm not sure. I don't know if Donner takes him with him. Honestly,
oh okay.
I'd have to go back and look again because it looks like Stuart Baird edits. I guess I'm just saying this based on this and Superman. I'd like to go back and see if some of his other movies are also edited by Baird. Yeah, but anyway,
maybe he edits The Omen. I don't know.
Because you'll notice that a lot of directors seem to work closely with specific editors. Like we don't really talk about editors very often. And Baird I only know because he directed Nemesis or Sergeant Nemesis, which is terrible. And then I started seeing his name everywhere after that in older movies I'd watch. I'd be, oh, but Stuart Baird edited all these classics, so he's clearly talented. He just doesn't know what to do behind the camera. But anyway, so anytime he comes up, I feel the need to mention him. But you see directors that work with different editors. You have this with Bryan Singer, who works with John Ottman, who does his scores, but
I think
also
Nolan has a guy that
movies.
edits like all of his movies. I think Nolan's editor is pretty consistent, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and sometimes you can actually kind of tell styles, but if they're with a director and the director has a particular style, you can't really tell. But Donner's so versatile, he doesn't really have to.
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably, I mean, there are a few ticks here and there where you can kind of see Donner in it.
Yeah.
But he is real versatile. He can make any kind of movie.
Yeah, absolutely. I mentioned when we were watching because Lost Boys was on the marquee.
Yeah.
And he was supposed to direct Lost Boys. He doesn't. I forget. I think it's because he does do Goonies. But yeah, no, he was supposed to direct like just a vampire teenager horror movie, which is completely outside of everything else he does.
But I guess the point I was going to make, because I just remember why I said all that, I guess the point I was going to make a minute ago was that Donner doesn't get enough credit for practical effects, and of course, with Superman.
Right.
And like, I was looking at this going, okay, I can think of things in Superman that had to have been done practically, and of course, 78, you weren't doing CG and stuff yet, but like there's a lot of things with miniatures and stuff in those movies, or there's some stuff with miniatures and stuff. But then I'm thinking like you're looking at all the helicopter stuff in this and things like that. I'm thinking of that specifically, and just pyrotechnics and stuff. And I'm like, oh yeah, we had to do it that way back then.
Yeah,
we had to do things practically, and you could cut corners and do more things rear projected and stuff like that. I kept thinking of places where we're in a car. And we're not doing rear projection or blue screen or anything, and going like, okay, this is a real specific weird moment to talk about, but I was thinking this, so I'll share it. When they drive up to the building that ends up exploding.
Yeah. Okay.
Toward the beginning, and
towards the beginning.
Oh no! It's not that. No. What it is it's when they have to open the gate.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And then they drive in.
Yeah.
Doesn't that building also explode?
No, the guy comes out shooting and he dies in the
pool.
Yeah.
And it's got plastic and he suffocates in the plastic.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay. So anyway, when they drive through, I mean, there's like 100 action scenes in the movie. when they drive through the gate. There's this whole conversation they have while they're pulling in, and they're just in this car, and they don't flub it, so they're just like doing close-ups on faces, so they could shoot it anywhere. Like they have an entire conversation in a oneer as that pulls in. If anybody flubs up their line of dialogue, they've got to drive that car back to the beginning and start all over again.
Yeah.
There's a somewhat lengthy conversation that happens during this. Like Donner's not cutting corners.
No.
As you say, he's making a movie.
Yeah.
But anyway,
we used to do that.
We're getting
Remember when we used to do that?
We're already getting real nitty gritty into this, but
yeah, I don't know. Where do you want to go?
Well, I don't know. I mean, you picked it. Where would you like to start? We usually do a quick synopsis.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I guess we do usually do
That's
that.
why I said this. Like, we're already talking about this movie. We haven't really set it up. I'm sure most people have seen Lethal Weapon, probably, but
I bet you more people haven't. I don't think Lethal Weapon permeates pop culture the way Die Hard still does.
and I don't know why. Having finally sat down and watched it, it feels like it should.
Yeah. I think it's just as good as Die Hard. I like Die Hard. I like Lethal Weapon more, but like I'm not saying it's a better movie.
Why do you think one tends to resonate more than the other?
I don't know. Maybe it's just...
Is it because Die Hard feels slightly more tragic or something?
Maybe it's just Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
I mean, people love Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
And maybe some of the stuff that Mel Gibson pulled in the past decade has maybe...
Yeah, that's...
We want to kind of forget Mel Gibson movies, maybe? I don't know.
Well, there was already some of that going on in the 90s.
Yeah. But I don't know. I don't think Lethal Weapon's as well remembered as Die Hard. Even though they come out the same year.
Nobody talks about Danny Glover anymore.
Nobody talks about Danny Glover anymore.
Not fair.
No. So the plot of Lethal Weapon is A lot of things now are almost cliches, but they weren't at the time. But it's the...
But, going back, they don't feel so much that way. I mean, I found it really easy to just watch this in the context of that time.
I should have shown you the trailer, because the trailer is, like, cliche the trailer.
Just every action movie you've ever seen.
Yeah, it's just... Like, there's a voiceover that says, like, he's a loose cannon cop on the edge. That might be where we get that phrase as just, like, a pop culture, like, thing, is, like, he's a burnout loose cannon cop on the edge, doesn't play by the rules. So Riggs is a burnout loose cannon cop on the edge who doesn't play by the rules.
Right.
His prior to the film, his wife has died in a car accident, and he's suicidal. The thing that I noticed this time watching the movie is how long we really take before we get to the plot.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of time just getting to know these two people. So we spent a lot.
It doesn't even feel like setting up story so much as just downtime. It's a day in the life of these guys. It does. You could technically say it starts before the story starts a little bit. There is some status quo building. I don't think it's boring or anything.
No, because you're getting to know the people.
But we don't jump. I mean, it's not a medias res. We don't jump right into the action. We don't jump right into like here's the occasion for story.
Yeah, we just. Well, and they kind of get together before the occasion for story really I mean, the case kind of already starts, but...
Well, you know what? No, that's not true. Actually, we're not giving it enough credit.
Because we open with the woman.
We do have a cold open that is in medias res, certainly.
Yeah.
And that is where everything starts. So, like, we know that there is a status quo that has been broken, but these characters don't yet. And then we get to be introduced to them and know them a little bit before... Now their lives have changed.
Yeah, we go through a whole day
because that is the impetus for these two guys getting together.
We go through a whole day with each of them before they meet. We watch both of them wake up. Well, we don't see Murtaugh wake up, but he's in the bath. We see both of them at the beginning of their day, and then we like keep following them through their day, and then we see them at the end of their day.
And I think we're intended to parallel the two men.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. If you're making this movie today, or maybe just if somebody else is writing this movie, because it's written by Shane Black, I think you do it all in the same day. I think most of the time when you're telling this story, you parallel them for like half a day and then they meet.
Yeah.
We follow both of these guys through a whole day.
It's a great point.
And then they meet. We have Riggs, who's suicidal, and he's a cop, and he's erratic, and he's dangerous, kind of to himself and others. He does not care what happens to himself.
He doesn't flinch if bullets fly past him.
Yeah,
and they do that scene in the TV show.
Yes, they do. They do it in the bank, and when we reviewed that, I was like, this is not the scene from the movie, but this is their version.
That's what
of
you
the
were
scene
talking
from the
about.
movie.
Yep. It's the same thing where he just stands there.
Yeah.
Unless and if he gets hit, he does not care.
And there's and then after that, there's a scene where there's a guy that like puts a gun to his head, and he's just like, shoot me. Like, he doesn't...
It's interesting, though, because at the same time, I don't mean to analyze scenes as you're talking about them, but I guess that's what I'm doing. Sorry. As he says, shoot me to that guy, but more times he tells
shoot him.
The cops that have the guns trained on the guy to shoot him, and I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, he gets to shoot me. It's shoot him. Well, somebody shoot him, and they just turns to the guy and goes, shoot me, and they just headbutts him.
Yeah.
But so, and then we have, on the other side, we have Murtaugh, who is... a family man, probably close to retirement.
And he's 50. Well, not close to retirement, he's 50.
Yeah.
And we know how old he is.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know what retirement age for
a cop, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm assuming he's close to retirement age. Maybe it's 55? I don't think most cops go to 60. At least not in the field. Like, desk jobs.
I don't know what it was then.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, when we say retirement, we tend to mean 65 across the board, but that may not have been...
I thought cops retired earlier because of the danger of the job.
I never thought about it. That makes sense. Sure.
Anyways, so...
But yeah, he certainly doesn't talk about that.
Yeah. So he's 50. I think he's somewhere in the ballpark of a decade of retirement.
Right.
He's been on the force for 20 years. And the two of them are put together on this case where there is this woman who jumped out of a building, but they found out, because she did drugs beforehand, that the drugs were laced with drainer fluid, and she would have died anyways, even if she hadn't jumped.
They say in like a few hours.
Yeah. And so they, it's not a mystery. Like, it's not a... Like, we know all of the answers.
And I feel like it could have been played that way.
Yeah.
Like, one of my only real criticisms is we live with the antagonist too early.
Mm-hmm.
I would have liked to have allowed them to be
it.
the looming threat that they are to our guys for us,
Mm-hmm.
because there's all this talk. When the guy that's begrudgingly in league with them, the rich guy who's the father of that girl, just before, that's an intentional thing. When he gets, just argue this is the second Shane Black movie we've done.
Yes, it is.
Excuse me. When he gets just before he gets killed, there's this talk about, because he says, I have another daughter, and he's trying to get Murtaugh to protect or to just leave the situation alone. And Murtaugh's like, we can protect her, and he says, no, this is too big. It's bigger than everybody. And then there's like a helicopter that comes out of nowhere,
and he just shoots him.
When just after that, we go back to the villains the antagonists who I had forgotten we had been with before, the drug lords.
Yeah.
And I kind of wish we hadn't seen them yet.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. I think that would play better if it was this scary looming threat that it is for them, because our protagonists haven't seen them. Why do we need to have seen them?
I think they want to show us to him because they want to set up Mr. Joshua as like a scary guy. We do the thing with the lighter and all of that.
Yeah, I found that to be completely unnecessary.
I agree.
I didn't like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's one of my only major criticisms. I did not like those scenes.
I love that guy that's
talking
after them. The guy who's like, "You're gone, man. You're Pluto. You're out there.
You're Pluto."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
But so
that's the kind of writing you saw all over the Nice Guys.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. No, you can tell, and this is his first sold screenplay, kind of. Monster Squad's before this, but he co-writes it with a friend in college, and that friend directs it. Mm-hmm. So this is his first, like, he writes a spec script, and it gets bought. He writes another script called Shadow Company, which is what the bad guys in this, that's what their Vietnam company is Shadow Company, but that script never got made. And
this is part of the reason that I say that Donner is so versatile. This watches like what I would have expected Shane Black directing it to look like.
It's pretty close. Especially probably Shane Black at that time, because I think he's gotten a little bit lighter and more fun as he's gotten older.
Sure, but there is a lot of light and fun in this movie.
Oh yeah, no, and this is why it's my favorite of Shane Black's films, is I don't think ever again the balance of light and darkness is as perfect. Mm-hmm. Like, I love The Nice Guys, but it's light over dark. And some of his other films are dark over light. I think this is
bits
kind of
of that
balance.
movie sink so far into like depressing, really, really rough stuff that it's not as good of a balance as this.
Yeah, I think this is kind of the perfect balance. And so they go on this adventure solving this case. It's all about Vietnam and soldiers in Vietnam who set up a heroin operation, and after the Vietnam War ends, they continue to run the heroin operation, and it's a whole big conspiracy thing that ends in a big action sequence. Mm-hmm. A couple of big action sequences. I think that's a fair synopsis of it. Yeah. Something that you said that I was gonna build off of. I was like, all right, I have to get the end of my plot synopsis so I can build off of that for Lethal Weapon. Crap, what was it? It was something with.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure.
It was something with the '80s and how we did movies then, but. This movie's a darker movie than I think we make when we make action movies now. It's darker than Die Hard. Like, this is kind of a silly, fun movie, but it's darker than I think. It's very post-70s, I think.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
Like everyone, there's witty banter and it's a fun adventure. But, like, Shane Black's always talking about stuff in his scripts, like, this is dealing... There were people after the Vietnam War that continued on bringing drugs into America, like, that's a real thing, that's a thing that happens. And that's what I like about his movies. And when you go see action movies now, you're either doing really dark, serious crime dramas, or you're doing light, action, and none of it matters, and you don't really care about the characters.
Yeah. May I suggest that the operative word may be less dark and more real?
Sure.
You know, that the reason it feels darker, especially for this period, is because it's resonating with you. It's because these feel like real people, and it feels like, even though there's a really absurd situation at the front of this, and especially individual action scenes, you know, like you were talking to me as we were watching, and you're absolutely right about it, that the real life rules of police work do not apply here.
No.
In a lot of places, and so it has its own internal logic. I think it's pretty consistent about it, but it is heightened, not in the way I usually use that word, but it is.
Yeah, no, it's an action movie,
but as far as the characterizations and the real world elements that matter to who they are and how they've developed and how they feel about the world, and especially the discussion of mortality and of like a person who wants to live versus a person who's afraid of dying, which we talked about with the TV shows. It's also about those things, and I think it takes that stuff actually a lot further, which is smart and makes sense in an episodic television show, where here you've only got 2 hours to explore it.
Right.
But that's where I think it makes sense that that you call it darker. Because it feels like there's more weight behind it.
Well, and we just don't make rated R action movies anymore. It's just not a thing we do.
I mean, we make rated R shoot 'em up films, but I don't know. Like it's just, when you say action, you mean these kinds of movies. Like what you're really saying is we just don't make these kinds of movies. We make lots of drug cartel movies where there's a lot of shit.
Yeah, but those are all drama. Those are crime movies.
Yeah, sure.
You know,
but
maybe
it's still an action movie.
But
here's why you have to call it an action movie. Every one of those has. I say every one of them because I sit around and watch those all day long.
Yeah.
But of the ones that I've seen in recent memory, it feels like and like I don't generally like drug movies. It's weird because I love Breaking Bad because it's a character piece, so I can get into that stuff. Like this is to a degree.
Yep.
Which is weird. I wouldn't have expected this to be as much of a character piece as it is.
Well, and that's the thing with a lot of Shane Black scripts is the villains are never particularly great. And it's because he spends so much time with his heroes.
Yeah, and I don't care.
Yeah. Oh no, it does not matter.
That's why I don't want scenes with them. Is the thing. But anyway, so with regards to a lot of modern stuff and people who know better than I do, feel free to fight me in the comments. That's cool. But what I tend to see is a movie that is taking itself so seriously that it's trying to be realistic, which really just means cynical most of the time, and it tries to hide its formulaic nature behind how like dark and relentless it wants to be, and sometimes that's character driven, and sometimes it's trying to fake character driven. But I still have to call those action movies, Eric, because it's the formula of the shoot 'em up scenes. The third act chase, car chase sequence, you always have one.
Okay, then
that's still an action movie.
Then may I suggest, maybe slightly altering term, we don't make R-rated adventure movies.
Sure, yeah.
And I think that you could call this
action
an adventure.
Absolutely, sure.
Yeah. We don't make those. We don't make fun. Like the thing about Lethal Weapon is it is everything that I want to write. It is exactly what I want to make when I do things.
And see, this doesn't immediately play to my sensibilities, but I get excited about a thing like this because it wins me over. I talk about winning people over all the time, and like this kind of movie can make me a fan of these kinds of movies.
If there were enough of these kinds of movies,
it's like I don't care about sports movies, but I love Rocky. And and having seen the Rocky movies and loving the majority of them, it makes me more inclined to watch sports movies because sometimes they'll go to those places. I saw Warrior and reviewed that a few months ago, and I appreciate. I said this in the review. It's a boxing movie, and it's a character. I don't know if you've seen that.
I have not.
I think you'd like it, and it's a character driven. It's a very character driven movie, and like I was more prepared for it because of Rocky.
Yeah, Rocky certainly makes me more inclined on boxing movies in particular, of all sports movies.
And it almost makes me half interested in even checking that sport out.
Yes, yeah.
And it's because
I have that every time I watch a Rocky movie. And I'm like,
maybe I should get into boxing. Yeah, and I never do.
No,
you know, and it's like if you watch a really good basketball movie, maybe you want to watch more basketball. But but with a thing like that, and this doesn't have all that much to do with Lethal Weapon, I guess, but
you
it's
talk about
because-
winning you over.
Winning me over. It's the same thing I feel when I study history. Very often I don't care about, okay, here's a 50-year period and here's all the stuff that happened in it, here's a war. But if you give me a person that was involved who is striking and I'm interested in and I want to know what their story was.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that historical period is just a backdrop. And it's the same thing with a thing like this where I wouldn't come to a thing like this just because, or because I want to see, first of all, buddy cop movies don't immediately interest me, you know what I mean? So I don't come to this because I want to see a couple of buddy cops going around shooting people.
Right.
I see it because I'm interested in the relationship of these guys, or that's what I end up being interested in.
Right.
Someone like you has to make me watch it first.
You see it because I make you watch it.
Exactly,
right.
yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a film that's really good at winning people over. I feel like this is a film that I can't
And
imagine...
it's a comedy, and that helps too.
Yeah, I can't imagine people watching it and not liking it.
Me neither. Well, I told you halfway through, I said, we should have waited for Sarah.
Yeah.
Because Sarah loves action movies. And
Right.
she will go to it. She's all about the Expendables, man. She loves those.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
She loves those, yeah.
That's funny.
And, it just occurred to me as we were watching this, I'm like, oh yeah, this is a Sarah movie. Okay.
We can watch it again.
Yeah.
Or should you watch two with us? Watch two.
I think my favorite scene, just on a first watch, is probably the shooting range scene.
Oh, yeah.
I love that. It's classic.
Yeah. You sleep with it on your pillow?
He makes a smiley face.
Yeah.
Oh boy, that's great.
And then he says, have a good day.
I love the deliberate pacing in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
It is constantly making you wait for things, and it's always worth it.
Yeah.
And that's my favorite example of it. Because whatever is on that piece of paper that he shot is not going to be what you're expecting. What I thought was that the paper was going to, and it wouldn't have been worth the wait, because he makes it go all the way to the back of the room.
Yeah, yeah.
And Murtaugh puts it halfway through, and he goes, let me show you something, and he shoots him, and he shoots
right
the
in the
paper
middle.
right in the middle, in the head, and it's impressive. And then, and then Riggs is like, let me show you something, and I love how he's like humming the whole time.
Yeah.
He's like, and then I don't know, these guys are real people because they they joke the way real people joke, and they know.
You buy that these are two people that become friends.
Yeah, I also like that they don't immediately hate each other, and we don't have to go through that whole thing. Like Murtaugh, they almost play it like they do, but they don't. Like the banter and the rapport is already kind of there from the beginning. There's a natural chemistry that forms right away, but Murtaugh doesn't want to have to work with this guy, and he's afraid that he's a liability.
And they have that conversation.
Yeah.
And that scene's shot beautifully.
And it almost feels like he brings... I'll get back to that scene in a second.
Yeah.
It almost feels like he brings him over to his house because he's trying to feel him out and make the rapport work because, well, he's stuck with him. He has to. So you're going to come over to my house, you're going to eat my wife's crappy cooking, and then and they have the scene of the boat, which I think is wonderful, and then right after that, I love the exchange about trust. Where he says, you don't really trust me, do you? And he's like, well, let's see if you can get through a day without killing someone, and then maybe I'll trust him. But I love that he's already bringing him over to his house and making him experience. And maybe this is what he's doing on purpose. He's like making him experience the regular family dynamic so that he can get him out of his head a little bit. But anyway. In that scene, what I thought was going to happen is the paper would come back, and he would have a clean shot through his shot. That's what I thought. But then he kept shooting. I was like, okay, what is he doing? And then it comes back and it's a smiley face, and I was like, that's great. That's great. And this is reading too far into this. There's no way this is on purpose, but it's a Christmas movie, and that's the closest you get to a snowman building scene.
Yeah, he's got the
snowman face. It is so weird. I didn't realize this was the same year as Die Hard. It's so weird that these are both movies set at Christmas, made in 1987, that did not come out at Christmas. That is really strange.
Well, what's funny is both sequels are also Christmas.
Or did they both come out in the summer?
I'm pretty sure both summer movies. What's funny is they both of their sequels also do Christmas, and clearly both studios are like, okay, well, they're going to do another Christmas movie. They're going to be the Christmas franchise. We'll do something else. And then both Die Hard and Lethal Weapon 3, both are not set at Christmas.
What is it about Christmas? Why do we keep doing this?
Well,
do you have any theories?
I know why Shane Black does it. I don't know why we keep making movies.
Because it's not just those two franchises. This is the thing we do all the time.
Yeah. For Shane Black, it's all
we do it with Batman all the time.
We do it with Batman all the time. Well, but with Batman, it's I think a lot just the snow. Snow looks visually good.
Yeah.
But both Die Hard and Lethal Weapon are set in L.A. There's no snow. It doesn't look like Christmas.
Right.
I know that Shane Black does it for contrast. Is the happiest time of the year.
It's got to be contrast.
Yeah, that's exactly.
But that's got to be why we do it with Batman too, and it's contrasting colors too. You know, it's the blackness of Gotham. It's the black suit of Batman. He's all around white. Weird that Batman in the middle of the daytime looks goofy, but not in snow. He looks great in snow.
Yeah. I love Murtaugh's family. I think they're a really realistically and well written family.
Absolutely.
A lot of times, when you have families in movies,
he and his wife feel like people that have been married for 40 years.
Yeah, and
40 years, 30. He's 50, so they didn't get married at 10. But you know what I mean.
And his dynamic with his kids feels really natural, and they're really enjoyable.
Yeah.
And that's not always a given in movies.
I didn't hate his kids, and I didn't hate the teenage daughter, which is amazing.
No.
And she gets kidnapped, and the stakes feel real, and I care.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen the teenage kid that if they got kidnapped, I'd go, good.
Leave them with them.
Yeah.
But you know, this is a movie that makes you care about the characters. It's smart that way. It's well done that way. And I think one of the most dramatic scenes in the film is when they go home because the kid that the teenage daughter was dating was found dead, and they go home and they bust in the door, and the wife comes out and the two kids come out.
I thought he was going to turn out to be part of the gang, and I was so glad that didn't happen.
Who was? The kid.
The boyfriend.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I thought was going to happen, and I was like, well, that seems convenient. And I was glad we didn't go there.
But no, and when the wife comes out and the kids come out, and they both just turn and they aim their guns at them, and then just the facial acting in that scene, I think is wonderful.
And I love that the wife, because the overly dramatic TV thing to do would be to have the wife go on a tirade and lecture him for paranoia or whatever, and then he would let her get through the whole thing before he finally says, well, our daughter was kidnapped, and then she's like, oh. They don't do that. She understands something's going on, and she doesn't say anything else. The gun
she just
gets
says
turned
what's
on,
going on.
she goes, what's going on? It's so believable.
Especially living with a cop.
I know the kind of life my husband has to lead.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I think all of that's great.
And I like all the kids.
Yeah.
And you know,
the singing should be annoying, right? In another movie,
yes,
that sequence is really annoying and cringy.
It's not.
It's not at all. It's really endearing.
It's so weird. No, I should have hated that. It works.
It feels like something that happens around a genuine dinner table.
And it feels spontaneous, and it doesn't feel written, and I wonder how much of it is improvised, and it's wonderful.
And it's very clear that the actors are really laughing.
One of the best things about this, especially in the year that it's made, is racial stuff. It never comes up.
Nope, not at all. It's just two guys. Well,
we acknowledge in places that, and maybe someone would the rap stuff around the table and stuff like that. I love that Riggs is so out of touch, and yet none of that phases him. It doesn't bother him that he's he's not. He doesn't feel the need to even acknowledge that he's working with a guy of a different ethnicity and he's got a black family and stuff. He's just a guy.
Well, and some of that comes up in the second one because it's about apartheid and South Africa. A lot of it with this film, I think, is just it was written as two white guys, and they just cast Don Glover.
Was it really?
Yeah. It's written as two white guys.
Well, I like that then if off the page or just some of the things that they decided to change in the script, it doesn't feel like he is a white guy played by a black guy.
No, he just feels like a guy.
I think the racial stuff is handled really maturely. It's not. They don't. It's acknowledged in the film. It's just not. The movie doesn't have to be all about that, and they don't have to constantly take pot shots at each other because they're different races and stuff. I love that.
It doesn't do the thing that a lot of buddy cop movies do, where it's just culture clash.
Exactly.
It's not culture that's making them clash. It is they're two different people that come from two different walks of life, and that's it. It's not like, oh, you listen to rap music, well, I listen to country. It's not about that.
Well, and there's a lot of things in this movie that you wouldn't be surprised by now, but are not necessarily a given, or that might seem more surprising and progressive in a good way in 1987, where like it's the black guy who's of an affluent family and the white guy who lives in a trailer.
Yeah, yeah. And it's the black guy with the loving married family and with a bunch of kids and
he's alone and
yeah. Yeah, I guess that's not necessarily something that
I think
we would always do at that point.
I think I could have seen a reviewer giving it credit for turning that stuff on its head.
I would have to go back to 48 Hours because I don't remember what Eddie Murphy's like in that movie. Because that's
I mean, how much credit did the guy? And I know anytime you bring up Bill Cosby, so yes, but the Cosby Show got so much credit for that, and that starts just 3 years before this.
Why? And I mean,
of affluent black family that we don't even have to make a big deal out of that.
Yeah.
It's just
how they
yes,
go.
there's an affluent black family. Let's move on.
Yeah. It's funny because they deal with their money in the fourth one. That it seems like they have too much, and they're worried that Murtaugh's on the take.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I wondered about that. I wondered if he wasn't maybe a little bit too rich for the job he has.
They deal with it in the fourth film a little bit.
Because he talks about how expensive his boat is, and I'm just like, yeah, how did you get there?
He's probably in debt. I would not be surprised if he was in. He's that kind of guy, right? Like
you don't get any sense of that in that first movie, though. I don't think.
What that he's
necessarily in debt. Like
no.
It feels like they're trying to play it as he's just well off.
I don't know. It could be a loan.
And to be fair, the house doesn't look like a doctor's house. It's nicer on the inside. It's kind of weird. It doesn't look like the nicest house in the world on the outside. But
well,
it's a great looking house.
It did at the beginning of the movie.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
after a car goes through it, and then we're
did they not think there might be some way to handle the situation without driving a car into his own house?
His own house. There's a great bit, and I think it's the third or fourth movie. I'll tell you about it after about the whole thing with the house.
Do they keep living in the same house, or do they leave it?
No, they keep living in the house until the fourth movie. Because I think that's when that bit comes up is the fourth movie. Because they're thinking about moving. They're trying to sell their house. Anyways, I
love the big plastic wrap on the outside of it at the end and stuff.
But it's this whole thing with. I always take character over plot. I can forgive a lot of things.
Absolutely.
And this movie's plot's kind of all over the place a little bit. I don't know if it's not a tight plot, but it doesn't affect me at all because the characters are so good. You buy that they're going through this adventure.
Well, I don't know that it's not that it's not tight enough.
There's a lot of really easy stuff, I think.
Oh, okay.
I mean, the biggest easy thing where it's like, well, the movie has to keep going is
I thought what you meant was that there were just scenes that don't necessarily matter.
No. I just mean like there are.
Because it's not a plotty movie. I mean, there is a plot and there is an antagonist, a bad guy plot, and it starts to get more plotty in the third act because it has to.
The big scene where I'm like, well, we just needed the movie to keep going here is when he goes and he starts talking to the streetwalker, and then out of nowhere, Joshua drives by in a car and shoots him into a window.
Yeah.
Like it just comes out. They knew exactly where he was. They knew what he was going to be doing. He knew they were coming, so he wore a vest.
But but that's a great turning point for that character. That now he's got a vest.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? I never thought about that.
Yeah.
You're right.
Because he wouldn't care to put a vest on before.
You're right, I didn't even think of that.
He doesn't have a death wish as much because... And the big question I found myself asking by the end, because we haven't talked Riggs enough.
Yeah.
The big question I have at the end is when they have the exchange right at the very end. You're not crazy at all, are you? No, I'm not. Is it that he was, or in his mind maybe he was, and it's turned around, or he never was?
No,
I feel like that can be read a couple different ways.
I think it's turned around.
That's what I think.
I think that the arc that he goes through this film
Nobody stands there with the bullets coming past him like that and doesn't think there's a possibility he's going to get killed. That is a crazy person thing to do.
Well, but I think he could get killed, and that's why he stands there.
No, that's exactly. Exactly.
The arc that Riggs goes through in this film is going from the grief of the loss of his wife and not caring whether he lives or dies, to getting to be a regular person, or That's not the best phrasing, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to just want to continue living, to have something to live for. I like his speech about living for the job.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that made a lot of sense.
I love that scene.
Probably the coolest detail about him in just like a thing he does that really defines him is where he picks up the prostitute to watch TV.
Yep,
that is a great scene.
That scene's not in the theatrical, and I think it's a great scene.
Oh, that's a shame that you would cut that.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's a fantastic. Like, that tells you so much about that
after
person.
His background with his wife, and that, like, I love the idea that a cop on his off time would go pick up a prostitute to lead by example and try to help them get on the straight and narrow. I really like that. Mm-hmm. And not even like lecturing or anything. Just, I'll give you money because you need to be able to live. But I'm not going to take advantage of you. I really like that.
Yeah, well, and he's lonely. He wants to watch TV.
And he's lonely, yeah. But I mean, I think both those things are there. I think he cares about people, and I think it's telling you that he cares about people.
Yeah.
I would have liked at least a shot of them watching TV, so you wouldn't wonder if maybe they also slept together. But I get the sense that they didn't, and that you're not supposed to think that they did.
I don't think you're supposed to think that. Especially because she's 16. At least 16.
That's right. Now, I didn't buy that. I thought she went too high the first time and too low the second time. I thought she was probably 18 or 19.
Yeah. But
she didn't look 16 to me?
No. But no, I don't know. It's hard for me to talk about this movie because I talk about anything. You just saw it, so.
Yeah, sorry if I'm dominating the conversation.
No. I'm just where the director is.
Absolutely.
I could go anywhere and talk about anything.
Yeah, and and that's one of the reasons I like it so much is there's a lot there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And comparing and contrasting those guys is fascinating.
And they both feel like real people that they're not just polar opposites.
Yeah.
There's differences, but they're not just what we usually do when we do buddy cops. We're like, this guy likes everything clean. This guy likes everything dirty. What happens when they're cops together? Like, it's not that.
They are two sides of the same coin, but it's not clean. It's not too easy.
Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of similarities between them. Like they're
and they're able to find common ground.
And Murtaugh's life is probably the life that Riggs wants or wanted before his wife died.
Well, and that he would have had.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they weren't together long enough to have children or anything. Maybe he wanted that. I kind of like that we're so subtle about that stuff. We don't talk about it. I mean, I get the sense. I really expected that dinner table scene to be that typical scene where the rough and tumble guy off the street comes in and doesn't know how to talk to people, and
which is more what it is in the TV show. You remember when we reviewed the TV show? I was like, no, the Riggs in the movie has more respect.
And I see now why that. But if I watch that again, there are going to be things I don't like that because of this probably.
Yeah.
And not that it has to be exactly the same. It's just some of those nuances make these characters more interesting. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I really like that it doesn't go there. That he's not like swearing at the dinner table. That he doesn't not have.
No, he knows how to act with people.
He knows, yeah, and like he is out of touch and he's kind of antisocial, but he's. But like sometimes we play that up too far where some of that stuff is innate, some of that stuff would stick with you.
Yeah, you don't just forget dinner manners because you've been sad for a year.
And none of it has, if you've been like a recluse off in a trailer for 10 years, making like crappy sculptures you're trying to sell off your lawn, maybe.
That's not in this movie.
That's not in this movie. That's in a mediocre Smallville episode. Anyway, That's the main stuff I wanted to mention.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I wanted to hit on. Because at some point I want to do a commentary on this, so I don't feel like I have to get everything out.
No, absolutely. Well, thanks for finally showing it to me.
Yeah, I'm glad you liked it. Because
the more I'm talking about it, and I like it more than the Nice Guys, I think.
Really?
Oh yeah,
that's good.
And again, some of it's that period.
Yeah. Well, and it just. And there's stuff in it that's not just...
It feels like another one of those movies that I wish I'd grown up with.
Mm-hmm. And I find it on my own. Like, it's not like a movie my dad chose.
I mean, I had this with RoboCop, and that's also 87, which is interesting. Boy, that was a year for action movies, yeah?
Yeah, oh yeah. Lethal Weapons, there's a couple of movies, Die Hard's one of them too, that I think of in my head, and as culture progresses, it's gotten less and less. I think of it as like dad movies. Like, this is the kind of movie that like
interesting.
A dad shows their son when he's like 10. He really shouldn't be watching it.
Uh-huh.
Don't tell your mom. But like that's the kind of movie that this is.
I did that with some things with my dad.
Yeah, we don't make those anymore. The closest thing would be like something like Deadpool, which is way beyond really you should be showing it to your kid.
And this is a thing where there's of course a lot of violence and there's nudity and stuff, and that's why you wouldn't show it to your kids. But
there's not a lot of gratuitous nudity.
But the difference between this and Deadpool is that there's actually a good wholesome message in the middle of it.
Yeah, it's
I think it's genuinely a reason to show this to your kids.
It's genuinely kind of a Christmas movie. Like,
well, that's interesting.
Like he goes through the same kind of arc you genuinely put people through in a Christmas movie.
Yeah,
it's not that different from like A Christmas Carol. I mean, it's not exactly the same.
That's interesting. Yeah. But I guess all I meant is like these are our characters that you can look up to some degree.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially by the end.
Yeah.
There's something endearing about them and something they have they would have to teach a kid.
And I complained about this on the live show a couple weeks ago. They're adults. They are able to make jokes and be fun, likable characters, but still
like, this is the joke scene now.
Yeah. And they're still adults.
So many throwaway jokes at the end of a scene that I was excited that I caught the first time because they felt like things that, like, on a second viewing I would pick up on.
Yeah, people just saying things as they leave the scene and things like that.
Yeah, especially that bit where they almost get blown up and he's like, I'm gonna go find out if they're hiring at the fire department. Yeah, that's a great line. And he's not on screen when he says it.
Yeah, and there's the one after Riggs gets shot where he's like where they say what do we do now, and Riggs says we're gonna move to Detroit and lay low for a while.
That's one of my favorite lines. This isn't in the movie, but where it's safer. Oh boy, it's a great movie.
But what I was gonna say to kind of wrap up is
we gotta wrap up.
Yeah, it's not just that it's 87 encapsulated. For me, like, it's also like there's a lot of 70s stuff. There's a lot of crime thriller. There's a lot of action adventure prose kind of stuff. Like you can kind of see where this movie comes from. Like, this movie comes from action fiction in the 70s. I think. And obviously from hard-boiled noir prose and stuff. And
it doesn't feel too throwback. There's a lot of that score. We didn't talk about the score. This is an amazing score.
I love the score. I wasn't sure if you liked the score or not.
No, I like it.
I was so glad you liked the score.
It makes everything feel like it's larger in scope and bigger than it is. It feels like a summer blockbuster. It's smaller than that.
But this was what a summer blockbuster was at the time.
Yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm. But part of that's because of that score, I think.
Yeah, no, it's a great score.
But anyway, well, folks, thanks a lot for watching. Sure appreciate it. And I'm going to make Eric watch something next time. And I think I know what it is. And I think it might also end up being an older action movie from around this time.
All right.
But I haven't decided for sure yet. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching. I am Captain Logan.
I'm Eric.
See you next time.